What a difference that makes. But Matt, what would you say that is the trade that makes people go crazy?
You gotta hop to it and spat on that thing.
Well, we start this week's video with the thoughts in mind for next week, which is the fitting of windows and the tanking of the basement. We're going to be doing a few more jobs to make sure we get there by the end of this week. And a couple of those are things like getting the ducting in for the cloak toilet in the basement under the stairs, which we'll be doing this week. And also I need to structure the extract fan in the kitchen to allow us to start skimming that ceiling and then skim the walls out, plastering the walls out. Well, Matt is straight on it. Good morning, Matt.
Morning, Richard.
Okay, bright it isn't here now with all the plastering done. And of course the sunshine's come out for the first time in weeks anyway.
I'm say, look how bright it is because of my dazzling personalities back here.
Well, there's that as well. I thought it was a reflection off your glasses, in fairness. Yeah. You're going to dab that, I believe. That's what the board's for. Dab the reveals, and this is what I was talking about. So this part here, we needed to make sure we got this wall in and this wall in to then measure off, which is why I've got my laser out now, to give us a point where we can measure from, to make sure that this extract fan that's going here, which has got to be recessed in the ceiling, is in the right position. We didn't want to start messing and guessing what the dab thickness would be and what that finish would be. So we thought, may as just wait. Leave this board out, which is why we've done it. I think we explained it in last week's video. That's the video on the screen now, if you want to have a look. We've explained what we're going to do here, which is just left a full board out or half a board out there. So we'll put that in once we've got ourselves set. So I'm going to do that now. I'll do this. Matt's going to do that. Well, I'll just sort of explain what I'm doing before I get up onto the ladder and start messing up here, because I've just been talking to Matt about it. It's going to be a difficult week to try and maintain interest. It's been bad enough last week and the week before, insulation and plasterboarding, because it doesn't interest people as much as other stuff that we do does maybe. But I'm hoping when we start moving to next week, when we start doing the basement and whatever, then that generates interest again. But give us your thoughts. What's your thoughts out there? Stick it in the comments. What are you thinking about our videos in terms of this week? But this is progress, unfortunately, and this is just us showing you what we're doing. So anyway, moving on. I'll put on the screen now the brand and the size of the hood that is going in this ceiling. It's a flush fit, which means when it gets cut into the aperture in the ceiling now, which is luckily for the customer, when I did this ceiling, not knowing the one they were having, this has all gone in roughly the position that they want it. They are happy where this is. It'd be directly above the hob. I think the customers now, to maintain a better walking space around this island, have reduced this, or will reduce this island a little bit, just to get a better gap there and a better gap there. Now we've got all the nothing to see here. I caught that on camera then, because he proper took one then. Anyway, you didn't quite face plant, but I hope I've caught it on the camera then. If not, I'm going to have to explode that part just so people can see it. What this measurement is now is as far back physically the unit can go against that joist there. So I've based my measurements on this. So that's what this line is. Luckily, I'm 2 millimeters out in terms of parallel, because what I've done is I've gone 600 worktop, 950 gap the customer wants, and then because I know this is 2 meters in length, I've then gone a meter. So that point there is a measurement from this wall to 550 to centre of the island. However, the issue I have got now is that you can see in there, that there is the timber against the steel all the way across it. This is joist hung onto, because you can see the joist hangers there. So I can't go any further that way. So a dilemma now for me is, and I'll have to talk to the customer about it, do I now pull this 65mm further this way to get it centre of the island? Because my belief is you can't have that hob not centre of that island, it'll look terrible. So I think they're going to have to reduce this by 65mm this way. So therefore taking that gap to 885 instead of 950 would be my opinion. So I'm going to structure it that way. to do so. So I'll get up there now. I've got to get some timbers in to here, because you see the picture on the screen now that when you put the clips on, I've got to be 105mm above this finished ceiling to put the clips on that hold it in the ceiling. So therefore, I'm going to have to put a timber noggin in there and a noggin in there, which then gives me, with the board and this timber already, gives me 103mm. So I'm happy with that. So I'm going to do that, but what I've just said to Matt is what I might do. Now we've got a definitive line to measure off here and here, I can set my square up as well. I'm going to put a board that now and then cut the board out to suit my aperture, albeit I'm going to do it 6 or 7mm wider, because we have got a margin of 20mm all the way around when it sits against the ceiling, because it steps down like that. I haven't got a picture to show you all the extract here at the minute because it's locked up down there. So we have got a bit of play left and right, so I can afford to do that. And plus, when we skim it, we want to make sure we're not then going to damage the edges of the boards when we put it up there. So that's what I'm going to do. So that's what you're going to watch me doing next. I'm trying to make it interesting. My apologies if it's not, but at the minute, there's nothing else I can do, is there? Apart from Matt fall over, obviously, and you know, if it had face planted, you know, broken nose, that would have been some interest for you. But you know, maybe the thumbnail would have been different. Who knows? But I think we just have to get. Yeah, let's have to get on with it. Yeah, plasterer visits A&E, breaking his nose after falling over his own shoelaces. Excellent. Would have been a great thumbnail. Right then, let's have this up in the air. Yep. I tell you, yeah, go on. I'll just hold it there one quick second. Let me just mark where. You got it for a sec?
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, mate, now because we're having to structure this back out, I just wonder if we put a mark there, so we know where the noggins are. And then the timber that I've got to, okay, 415 to centre. Okay, mate. Just thinking so we can fix the noggins.
Yeah.
As soon as we've got to cut it out again.
Happy with that?
I think we are, yeah. Beautiful sound. I love the sound.
That's how you say it.
Yeah.
Not that though. Missed. What? Yeah.
And this side.
That's,
How's it moved?
it has moved, yeah.
Will it friction fit in, or do you need to, will it a tapette, or does it just need a bit of a, what's it put through it? Stanley. That's a shame, because that was lovely, wasn't it, that board? It moved a little bit in it, that's all.
You just slid on it.
What's it gone?
Just a little tap it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it. That'll work.
Is there eyes?
Yep.
Do it.
Progress has been made. Matt's finished that. You saw him do this one. And I'll remove this step to try and work out exactly what I'm going to do with the ducting. We'll go through that in a minute. But that it's coming through there. Anyway, more progress in here. That wall is now done. I think Matt's happy with it to a certain extent. Sort of happy with it. He'd be happy if the windows were in, I think. Yeah. Not going to say anything. Adam will know what that pointing's for. It's just the windows. We have to do it this way because you're waiting for windows again. We've done this the past couple of jobs now. We have to run the boards past the reveals. Windows go in and then we have to board the reveals separate. So obviously you won't be able to skim that wall or that wall or that wall because the windows got to go in first. However, we will discuss it at the start of the video. They are all happening next week from what we are told, so let's hope that does happen. All this up here you would have seen is complete. The only thing I did do in the end was I decided to make a decision without the customer being here, which I'll talk to them when they come back or in the morning now. Because we couldn't get centre of this opening to maintain 950 gap, what I've done is I've put a timber in there and a timber in that you can just see there in the gap, which means the whole island goes that way 65mm to make sure that, yes, that gap over there will be 885, not 950 walkway. However, that extractor will be in the centre of this island. I think that'll be better. However, if the customer decides that they don't want that, they want to maintain the bigger gap, then it's not a problem. I can just, I've already left that, as you can see. That's what I've left that for. That's why it's overhanging the timber, just in case they don't want to. Because I can, if they do want to go on my idea, I'll cut that back. If they don't, I can put a piece of timber across there, like I have done there, which is a little bit of lath, just to take any potential sag at that little bit of board, even though it only overhangs 100mm. And all I'd have to do then is take out those couple of screws and that timber that I've face fixed that way. That'll come out and I'll push my extractor that way if needs be, if the customer decides to go with their bigger opening rather than centralising the extract over the island, which hopefully they will do that. And then if that's the case, I could just cut that bit of board out there, move it over that way, and jobs are good. I'm going to tackle the ducting now, and what we've decided is, I'll show you downstairs in a moment. That point there, the double trimmer for the stairs is across there. So I'm going to drill a hole through that, and that is structural. That is just the like a banding board, if you like, on the end of all the floor joists. So I'm going to drill a hole in that, 100mm. I'm going to put a square to round there like that in the hole with flexi ducting onto it and drop it into the ceiling void. I'll show you in a minute, like I just said. And then what I'll do is, once that's on there like that, I'll put that on there. We're going to run through that void there because it is only a cavity that way, because you can see it there, look, cavity that way. And then once I'm into the cavity, I'll put another one of them on the end of that with flexi on. We'll be in that void there, which is below damp, flexi duct into there, and then we will run out here and come out in this block. What we will do is we will put some insulation around it just to stop any potential condensation in the pipe freezing if it's going to happen. Because as I say, this is below damp, so we haven't got any insulation there. That's why, because don't forget the floor is coming up to this level, 150. That's the finished floor level, so that's fine. So we'll do that, bit of insulation around it, wrap around the flexi ducting just to make sure that doesn't happen. Right, not the nicest of positions to get good footage. I could only do it over my shoulder because I just kept blocking myself every time I tried to get in the right position. I just blocked it. So all I've done there is I pulled the ducting through a hole that I created first with a hole saw, wind it a little bit with a multi-tool. I've then pulled the ducting through, as you would have seen, zip tied it and taped it. I've then put some foam around it to stop it pulling or damaging it now. I put all my bends on, taped all my joints other than that top one because I've had to force that on, so they are tight. So I haven't done that one. I've then ducted through there to another one of these square to round. And as you can see there, I've now got a ducting in the cavity. And you can just see there at the back there where I've taped the square to round on. That's what the silver tape is there, look. And all we will do now, when we're ready, is come out a bit here, because the downpop's going there, probably come out a bit here, maybe. Just in the sort of middle of this reveal and this downpop bit there, maybe just a square outlet. And when that's rendered, that'll look quite tidy. So there we are. We'll do that tomorrow, so we're ready to go, so we haven't got a mess. And then we can fill that with insulation again, like I've already said. Kept the insulation bits there and there. And they can always be stuffed back in after. We've actually got some 150 outside as well, so I'll use some of that to stuff underneath it, in and around that, as I said, to stop any condensation, freezing potentially in that ducting. And then we've got downstairs, same again. I had to go through this this little noggin here, and then I've foamed again around that. And that is really just to stop this getting, if it gets pulled, it doesn't then damage the ducting, because I've been very careful when I'm pulling it through. I'll put my arm in and pull it through nice and steady so I don't rip it. But that now, what the idea of that is now is, that'll go underneath the plasterboard. That is about centre there. There's enough on that to pull over, and we can drill a hole when we're ready, put our hand in, pull the duct out, and attach the vent onto it. Or the, sorry, the vent, yeah, you know what I mean, don't you? Doodah. Extractor, could get my words out then. We'll attach the extractor onto that. So there we have it, that's another job done. Let's go and have a look what Matt's been up to. Matt has completed the pink boarding across there. That is now boarded underneath that, if you remember from last episode, I think we caught that, where I knocked some noggins in the steel, fixed a board to it, and then what the board thickness then did, which has now worked out nice for him, he screwed it directly on that one on top of it. It then gave him the thickness for his dab, because the steel is about 10 mil further back from the face of the block. So therefore, as you can see, he's got his dab in there now. 10 mil dab all the way down. So he's happy with that, and I've just put my foot in that. Nice one. Didn't see it, did I? Because I'm pretty pointing the camera out with my old foot. So there we are. Plasterers. I've got plasterers muck all over me again. I'm sick of getting your muck on me today. We've already seen that, but that is complete as well. So what's the next plan, Matt, for you? Next plan?
Next plan, we've got makeup across the ceiling, so we're going to bond that, all the patches in.
Oh yeah, we're going to patch all that.
Having checked it to the customers, because obviously I like to leave you with a nice skirting line. They're on about coming lower than what is the original over there.
Oh, so take that 6 inch off.
When we take it off, yeah, we've got just a little bit of bonding, patching. I'll set a new stop bead around the fireplace.
Because you're not happy with that, are you? The stop bead around the fireplace.
No, I'm not happy about that at all. I mean, it's just a bit rubbish.
No. Okay, so we're going to redo that, reskin that back in, all over the wall.
And then uni-bond it, ready for skimming on Wednesday.
Skimming on Wednesday. Oh, see his face then. He is excited. Oh, j'adore. Pole dancing again, look, pole dancing. Did you see the comment? Did you see the comment? Someone said I thought he was a pole dancer around that at the start of the video last week. I said, but it won't be the first time. Look here, he is, look. Right then, so we're going to have a good tidy up now, get ourselves prepped again, ready for our day tomorrow. And then, well, I suppose other than that, we will see you tomorrow, I suppose. Start the day then, very damp, very dark. Almost like winter, if it wasn't for the little bit of warmth in the air. Anyway, I've started the day by getting this ready for concreting. Already got me a bit of a pile started there, but I thought I'd just say something before I start. I broke all the high spots off. There was a few high spots from when we chucked this in and when we did the concrete in the floors. So I broke all the high spots off there, and what I will do is that'll all get flattened. I'll then put that over the top of it, and then our insulation will run right over the top against that brick, and then the underfloor heating screed or just screed, nothing to do with unflating at all, just screed. We'll go on top of that once he's got all his pipes in place. Likewise with this one. Excuse me. However, there's more to go in this one. I think there's a little bit of stuff I want to clean out of this first. A bit like insulation, a little bit of fiberglass there. So I'll get these bits out, a bit of rubbish. And then, like that. And then that will be concreted as well, the same, flush with that brick. And then that will be flapped over the top. And again, insulation will go right over the top of that. So that'll be it. That's got to stay there because that's the lintel when we built this corner, because we had no choice because of the saw pipe. So we're going to have to cut round that. Luckily that's in the doorway and that shouldn't be an issue anyway, but that isn't a problem that we can't get over. It looks like, well, it's only a 65mm, so I'll be able to put a 35mm covering over the top anyway. So that should be all good. Right then, I'm just going to crack on with it. Matt is fetching insulation for down here and the skim plaster for upstairs. He'll be back shortly, so I'll just crack on with this. This is all done then. Little time lapse there, just to show me mixing this up and put it into that hole. I didn't do any more than that because I'm pretty sure that none of you want to watch me puffing and panting. It's not a pretty sight, I can assure you. All I've done there then, I've just made sure that that is completely flat now with this floor, which it is. All I've done is, I've got that bit of ply there, which is a manufactured edge. You can see there a bit of concrete on there, look. With the exception of a little bit down that end, as you can see it's a bit more orange, where I've mixed some sand in with that to make it a bit sandier, only because it's a bit thinner that end. I've got about 15mm that end and about 25mm this end. Now there's a bit of an issue with the foot in this, so when the concrete was poured in the terrible weather, so we had to try and bump up all the brickwork to make it better again. However, we decided just to go with it and we could do what I've done now. There's about 25mm, I say, I reckon, that side of concrete. And remember, this is only just to make the threshold flush, that's all it is. It's not structural, doesn't carry any weight at all, other than the span of the insulation. So all I've done is I've just put this on my floor like that. I've dropped it on top of there like that, look, and made sure that that is perfectly flat. Done that all the way across. Then all I'll do then is I'll get this then, I'll chuck that over the back of there and tamp it down again and bed it on top of the concrete. Because we then do another DPM on top of the insulation underneath the when they put the pipes on. So we're going to be double DPCing anyway. So if there's any little marks in this, I'm not bothered at all, doesn't matter. But ultimately now what that gives me is this. You imagine this is my 100mm I've got to put on, albeit we're doing 250s. That goes across there like that. Make sure there's no sort of high points, so it sort of can do this and then crack the screed is the aim with this really. That'll go over there, 100mm against there, screed on top of that, and the door, and then when you screed then it goes up to your door frame, so there's not a big massive step up. So that's what I'm doing here. So I'm happy with that. Like I say, I'll leave this a little bit longer now so I can trail it off a bit flatter or a bit neater, even though you're not going to see it, that's not the point. And I'll make sure the plastic's all nice and flat and there's no lumps and bumps that's going to catch me out when I come put insulation on. Give this a bit of a tidy to get rid of all the concrete off the floor. Likewise there, that's gone off a bit more now. I'll trowel that off, flap the plastic back, happy. Give it a tampo with my bit of plywood just to make sure there's no high points. Pull the plastic back, trowel it off again. Happy with that. Another job done. Matt's been back with the insulation. He's upstairs now prepping himself for something, but we'll find out that in a minute. And here he is. I'm not going to say he's doing his favourite thing, but this is certainly working towards his favourite thing, which is what, Matthew?
Skimming. Laying pink.
Laying the pink.
Spread, pink, laying on, troweling.
And regarding a comment that we had from a lady or gentleman, I don't know, I didn't really look at the name, which I thought was quite funny. Regarding the tightness of Matthew's trousers, the MC Hammer trousers are actually on order, so we'll be wearing those when he starts putting the pink on. If you want to know what we're on about, go to last week's video. We were talking about the tightness of Matthew's trousers when he starts using wet trades, wet materials, i.e. bonding, skimming or dab. So there we are. Thank you for that comment, it made me smile.
Yeah.
So he's doing his Yes. What have I been called? Richie Hairy Johnson, and you've been called Matt Nice Legs. So there we are. There we go then. Seen better pair hanging out of the nest. But there we are.
Reminds you you're having chicken tonight here.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. That's it. Chicken wings. Prep is key. So he's making sure he gets all the cork off, which is what that is coming off now. Scraping the walls for any loose bits of materials where there's been picture frames, picture rails and dado rails.
It's not just the cork
also,
either. There's a fine bead of paper that's obviously gone underneath the picture rail, and that's got to come off as well, because once you put the Unibond on or any wet stuff, that'll just bubble over. So you do have to give it a good scrape and expose this sort of stuff, because otherwise it will get you into trouble, and we don't want that, do we?
No, we don't want trouble, do we not?
No.
Nobody wants any trouble, especially on this channel. We don't want any trouble, any good from anybody.
It's only minor, but when you're only putting like between 2 and 3 mil of skim on, and it's wet, and it'll fetch that sort of paper off, you've got to look for it, haven't you?
Well, I've seen it before. You put it on, missed a bit of paper, and you think you've got a bubble there, and you pull it off, and it pulls a 4-inch square piece of paper off.
Something like that.
Not pleasant, is it?
No, not really.
So that's what Matthew's doing. He's covered up the fireplace, he's covered up the hearth, and the log burner's still covered there. So we're happy. I'll blank you out now, Paul. You won't appear in this video at all, but I'm just going to talk and I edit this bit out. I might just blur your face out, man, but no one's going to know, are they? That's the customer there. I've just had to blur him out so you can't see who it is, but it doesn't matter. He's like Scarlet Pimpernel's, very elusive. So I've a couple of time-lapse things there for you then. You see me taking these tiles up to enable us to get a flat surface and to put the insulation on, because it needs to be the same level as that, and now it is, other than little bits of adhesive, but they're only thin, so I'm happy with that. Insulation goes on top of there and the screed, bring us up 150. We've already talked about it several times. You saw Matt prepping in there. He is 100% prepped in there. He's in a unibonded and he's beaded, as you can see here. So we will be skimming tomorrow. And we decided then to go and get this door frame. Why not? It needs to be in. It's better when it's in, when it's skimmed anyway. And this is a metric frame for the first time. I've never used a metric frame. I've always used Imperial. And this is now 4A 2040 by 826 millimeters door. It doesn't equate to 2'8", 2'9", or 6 foot. Anyway, it's in between, which bothers me a little bit, but there we are. I am metric, aren't I? So there it is. This is all done. I went against my own chat, as I've done before. I started to use packers and then started to get frustrated myself. So I made myself some folding wedges. Always a better idea is folding wedges. You can tap it, adjust it, then screw it. We then foamed all the way around it. And then what Matt will do tomorrow when the foam's gone off, he'll cut these off and he'll plasterboard in there and plasterboard in there, because originally that was left wider to enable us to get in and out and not narrow the gap too much. But we're at that point now where we need to do that to start to get prepped. That is off the floor because obviously that's set to our 150. This is as it is, it'll just get cleaned up and left. This may be 3/4 ply to allow for shelves and security and what have you. So that's probably what happened there, but don't forget, this is already 1/2 inch plied this side anyway. So it'll take a good kicking through. So there we are, that is me. I'm not here tomorrow. So I'm gonna leave Matt with the GoPro and he's gonna film some lovely footage, which will be on next, of him skimming. Although, I think he might be skimming in there first. I think he is actually, to allow us to get everything from downstairs that we've already moved back up into there, so we can get ready for the tanking people. So there we are, I will leave you to it. Enjoy Matt plastering.
So you will have seen on the time lapse me laying down or roughing in, followed by a second coat of plaster. Probably a bit much to go into just now, but if there's potential want of a bit more of an explanation as to why, how, and a skimming introduction or an introduction to skimming, we can do that. Get in touch and email or post in the comments, and maybe we can sort that out on future walls, ceilings and plastering jobs. But just to explain, you will have seen me using a trowel to lay on, and then I've troweled it over, which is called a flattener, and then I've gone over with a spat. Now the reason for that is there's a lot of plasterers that go on saying, well, you know, it doesn't need to be shiny, and you generally get the shinier surface with the trowel, but then it creates hollows over bigger areas, and then the spat, it'll flatten it out over a wider area. So I use both, and that's just to increase the potential for a complete flat wall or ceiling. And if I just move you up there, so let's say you lay it on, and then the wider you can cover when you're troweling up, the less hollows you're going to have. Now if I can just get up here and see if you can. Now this has only had 2 trowels. I don't call the flattener one with the spat, but it's had 1 trowel that way and then a cross trowel that way with a spray of water, because it is drying in. Now on this job we've got loads of openings, and it does act like a bit of a wind tunnel coming through. So like I say, a bit of a trial, see how it's pulling in, because for the bigger ceilings, bigger walls, and in here still, I don't know if I'm going to have to sheet this up and batten down the hatches to stop that crosswind, because cross breeze will dry this out very, very quickly, and I'll be working in real time lapse mode. But yeah, let's see, we'll get on. But if you want some more explanation about plastering, skimming, or anything else, drop it in the comments and we'll have a look.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that bit of time lapse of Matt plastering. It's still ongoing. I've been away for the day, and to walk in this morning and see the dramatic change was something, it really was. He's continuing to do all the walls now. He's changed his plan a little bit with regarding which walls he was doing first, because he's doing all his walls first because of just the way he wants to do it, and that's the way it is. Yes, you would do ceilings normally, but Matt doesn't tend to drop it everywhere, so he doesn't worry about that. So he's going to get his walls done. We have confirmed a date for the window fitters, because they did change it yesterday, and they've changed it back again, luckily, because it had a massive knock-on effect with everything we got to do. So luckily the customer rang them and explained the situation, and they've changed it back, which is good. I'm doing a few jobs today, so I'll spin you around now, show you what I'm doing, and show you in real time the dramatic change the plastering's made. So that one's still wet, ceiling, and that wall's done. That wall's not done yet because we can't get the reveals on, which we know. And that wall's done. That is done, now named as the Tank Commander's hatch. And today he's been doing that one and this one. And then his next set is going to be that wall down there. Is that it then, Matt? You're going to do that one and that one? What? You're nothing else, are you, today?
Just get the big wall on in one.
Get that big wall on.
Yeah, just drop that
And
on.
that's it in it today, not doing another set, are you, today?
No, it's prepping for next week for getting ceilings on.
Yeah. So your plan, you said, was to pull this in all the way through to there, did you say? To this point?
Well, again, the only reason the ceilings haven't gone on before I've shut down.
I've explained the fact that you've done them walls first.
Yes.
Because you don't get drop stuff, so that's just the way it is.
To keep the job moving, I was really hoping that it could be airtight with all the windows in, because it's a big ceiling, and here it does blow a bit of a hoolie, as we know. And I did a trial run in there with the utility, and even with the door closed, main door, it really pulled in too much really. So
what you're saying is the wind dries it too quick.
Yeah, it takes. Yeah.
And this, I don't even see it on the cam, but it is a huge ceiling in terms of like a one hit to go all the way around to there and all around the alcove. But Matt's confident he can do it as long as he's got airtight. He can't sort of blowing like warm and blowing a wind would be devastating, wouldn't it? Because it'd just dry. You'd be pulling through here and that'd be drying over there. You'd have to trail it again, so it'd be no good.
Yeah, but by laying it on, spatting it, leveling it off so you don't get trail lines, then doubling it up and moving around, it's a much better way of doing it.
That's it then.
Because I don't use retarders or accelerants or anything in the plaster. There's just no need. There's no need. You get the same amount on if you just quicken your arm up.
If you work quicker.
If you work time, not space.
If you work time, not space, yeah. But in real time, yeah, absolutely. So there we are then. I've been doing a couple of jobs because we forgot that we hadn't put the cavity closers in there. So they have been done now, either side of that. I've got my cavity closers cut for here. But I'm going to sort that vent out now by cutting out that hole there, just stitch drill that hole out there. And then I can pull that ducting into the hole and insulate that as I mentioned earlier in the episode. Then what I've got to do, now this is all plastered in here. I can put the stuff from downstairs back in here now, all of our racking and fixings, etc. in here now, out of everybody's way, not in the way of the window fitters, because I need to make sure we're clean downstairs and swept up, because the basement people are coming on Tuesday morning to what I'm told is a lime leaching additive. If I've not got the wording right, I will correct myself next week once I've spoken to them, but I'm pretty sure that's what they said, and that has to go on the concrete floor before we add any insulation. I've already talked about what they're going to do in terms of like not a ducting. What is it, Matt? They're going to put all the way around the perimeter. It's not a ducting, is it? It's like a drainage. Like a like a weep system. Yeah, it looks like a bit of a guttering, square guttering with a flat top on with holes in it, and you put that against the wall, and they run their membrane down to it. And if water gets in it, it goes into that trough then and runs outside through a 40mm hole that we've got to drill through the brickwork. Which I'll show you all of that when that'll probably be next episode now, maybe, if I can capture it all in time, because they're starting next week and today's Friday, so it should be on next Sunday's episode. So I hope you're looking forward to that, because I am, because that then releases the remainder of the stud work, the plasterboard, the insulation, everything, and by that point, fingers crossed, the windows will be fitted as well, which then releases all the reveals everywhere for Matt to get squared away. Yes, it's exciting, Matt, I know. Put your willy away, I know it's exciting, Matthew. So my tail popped out. So we're really hoping that next week goes to plan, because it's next week for two separate trades. It pushes us on quite drastically. We've had the kitchen fit here today. Not kitchen fitter, because that's me. The kitchen surveyor has come checked all the measurements. We've talked about the hole in the ceiling that I'd allowed for the extract. We are going back to the customer's original plan, and we're going to tweak the iron a little bit as well to accommodate it. So that's fine. I've done that. I've cut it all out. I've put the bits of timber in that I talked about. That's why they labelled my overhang on my plasterboard originally. That's all been cut out this morning as well. So that's good to go. So I think we'll just get on with it, I think. difference that makes. But Matt, what would you say that is the trade that makes people go crazy?
You got to hop to it and spat on that thing.
Right then, after our messing about, laughing at ourselves, for something that I've been educated on today, the saying that Matt's just used, I'd never heard that before, and apparently it's viral. I didn't know anything about that hot thing, I did nothing about it. But there we are, every day's a school day. Matt has completed this wall now. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Simply lovely. So this has all been Kingspan as well. I got some 25mm and I got some 50mm, and the parchment is a bit deeper. I've smashed some 50mm, sorry, just to try and close that cavity. You can see we've already insulated it in previous episodes anyway, because we've got a 9-inch wall there. Well, near us, damn it. There's only a minuscule cavity there with no insulation in. So we 150'd and with 50mm Kingspan in there, if you remember, as well as, and I've just closed that up. Likewise did up there, but you've already seen that. You would have seen on the time lapse that I stitched all that out and then just knocked it in my little 10mm chisel, but you didn't catch that because I got my back to the camera, so that was a bit silly of me. I should know that by now, shouldn't I? I've packed insulation in and around all of the ducting in there, all the way down to past and below damp. Wouldn't normally do that, but I've already explained earlier in the episode, I wanted to make sure that there's no condensation can freeze within that ducting. So there we are, that's why I've done that. All I'm doing now, other than putting this on, which is done, I'm just going to break this this bit of brickwork out there to open up this cavity in full. Adam's going to come back on Monday, and you would have seen him just pop into the time lapse just when Matt was doing this main wall, just to check on a few things and bring the blue engineering bricks for across here. So he's going to do that up to damp for us, ready for the window fitters on Tuesday, because he's currently on the job. The other job we're doing, he's on that still, bricklaying on that, which you see on the channel on a Wednesday. And then once he's done that, as we're doing downstairs, the insulation then will be run into, like that, 100mm Kingspan into the external brickwork. And same as, again, I've already explained, 100mm Kingspan, Celotex, whatever you want to call it. We use Recticel from a place called Minster in Albury, which are great prices. And then screed up against that, up against the door, so that's the same here, because we are yet to do all this, as you're aware, hence why, I'll explain it again, why that door frame is 150mm, well, 160mm off the floor. That's why. Ultimately, this step will be moved. I've already talked about all this, and all that hole where the pipe was under there will be pea gravelled. Pea gravel is out there, sitting by that bush there, ready for me to do my next job, which is go outside and fill pea gravel first on top of the soak away, and then dirt in the lovely sunshine. So that's my next plan. I'm going to leave Matt to it. He's literally now just trailing off, waiting for the drying time on it now. And then he will be trailing, spatting till he's happy with the finish on it. So I'll go and do that, leave him to it. I'll go and do some strenuous huffing and puffing in the garden. And I might fill the hole as well. Funny, you know. And then what we're going to do to finish the day, we'll clean up downstairs, I've already talked about, and put everything in here. So that's it, let's just do it. Apart from a good sweep up, it's near enough the end of the day now, and I personally have just had a day of bits doing little jobs that you've seen on the time lapses and what I've talked about. You also caught in the time lapse, I've filled in the soak away with pea gravel, ready to be backfilled with dirt now. We had to make sure we were over down the sides and over the top, which it is, and I'll show you now. Well, there we are, that's all filled. Don't quite know how much we've got on top of that, but I know it's a fair bit anyway. Well, we've got about at least 100mm there. I'm happy with that. And I've just covered the last of these cables up, and also you could just about see the top of the saw pipe still that runs through. When I say saw pipe, it's only the water from the the front drain, which you've seen in many episodes, that comes from the front drain in front of the garage. So we are done. And also, I've moved everything from down here now. This has all been swept. I've give around these saw pipes just a bit of a clattering with a hammer, just to get any sort of weights, all the concrete curled up a little bit, and took it off the top of these saw pipes. So now they are relatively flat and just to go straight over the top, albeit what we will do, as mentioned many times already, we will foam on top of there now, what we always do, foam on top, and then put the insulation over the top of that, and that'll be lovely. Where we've got bits where we are higher, like here, all we will simply do, we will go up to it, sort of chamfer over the top where we can, and then come the other side, chamfer over the top of that, and then foam in that gap. And then because we are, on this instance, using this 50mm stuff, that's just one sheet that's left over, we will then sort of cross bond the 50mm on top of that one. So we'll put one down first on the floor, do it all, tape all the joints, then we'll put the other one opposite and come over bits like that, so it won't matter at all from a thermal point of view. Yes, it'd be nice if it was solid all the way through, but when we've got this, there is nothing physically we can do about that. We have got to get our level from there down to our pot, which is in the garden. That's it. We can't pick the house up, you know, we don't want huge steps outside, so it is what it is. We don't want to start affecting heights in here. So this is the better of two evils, shall we say. I mean, looking at that, it will come out to there where the bend comes in. We'll lose that in the wall anyway, so we're quite lucky really with that. So we are relatively, well, I say relatively, very happy. I am looking forward now to next week when we start getting windows in. And finally, for us as a team, and of course, more importantly, the customers, it starts to look like a habitable space then, rather than the builder side that it has been for a few months now. There's a lot of work been done, and we're really looking forward now to the finishing stage. So I hope you are. So why don't the old, the old clicky and the old subscribe thing, and if you haven't been on this channel before, from now on, it'll all be finishing stuff. So a lot of change every week will occur. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you on the next one. Don't forget about me.